Welcome back. You're still watching Daybreak on this 15th day of April 2025. In studio, I have Mark Nyamita, the Member of Parliament for Rere constituency. Good morning, Mheshimiwa.
Good morning. How are you?
Very well. Mheshimiwa Ruto is the Member of Parliament for Keses constituency, but also he is in the Finance and Planning Committee. Karibu sana, Mheshimiwa Julius Ruto.
Thank you so much.
Jerry Maina is the Member of Parliament for Kirinyaga constituency. Which is your committee, by the way?
National Cohesion and Equality.
National Cohesion and Equality. Good morning.
Good morning to you, Sam. Thank you.
Senator Richard Onyonko is the Senator for Kisii County. Good morning, Senator.
Morning, Sammy.
You've been gone for some time.
I was in the village.
Ah, okay.
Yes.
Welcome back.
He was in the ground. The ground.
Great. So there are a few things that have happened, including the vetting of the cabinet nominees that you may have seen yesterday. There's a story that is on page 5 of the Daily Nation talking about past ghosts haunt Ruto CS nominee during vetting by House Committee, rent default, emotional intelligence, and bails among issues raised during that vetting exercise. But also there was Hannah Cheptumo, who has been nominated for the position of Cabinet Secretary, Gender, the Arts, Culture, and Heritage. They were vetted yesterday. The Committee of the National Assembly on Appointments should be bringing a report to the plenary for a vote to be taken. It's one of the stories that is on the Daily Nation, but also the front page of the Daily Nation, you find, why is Kenya still in Haiti? They are giving the numbers in terms of the money that has been contributed by different countries. So nations pledged 14.3 billion shillings. Kenya has put in 4.6 billion shillings. You'll see the contributions, the pledges versus the contributions there. Most of the countries have met what they promised. Others have actually surpassed the promise. But the nation is also reporting that 2 elite police officers are dead, while 2 others are seriously injured 10 months into the Kenyan-led multinational security mission in Haiti. Many of the countries that pledged monetary and other support for the operation to stabilize the gang-riddled Caribbean nation have since kept away, leaving President Ruto and his government to do the heavy lifting. Questions abound as to what's happening there. On this standard, the main story, as I told you earlier, is about the general's last wish, and they are talking about the report that was released. They're calling it the preliminary report is out, but some aviation experts say reads more like a cover letter than an investigation. Was this tragedy an accident or the final chapter in a silent war? They're asking those questions. I want us to mention a little bit about that story that you find on let me begin with you, Mheshimiwa Mark Nyamita. I know this report on vetting will eventually come to the plenary, but what do you make of that vetting exercise we saw yesterday, which is one of the many that the National Assembly has had to do this term?
Yeah, I think the vetting exercise is ongoing. Actually, this morning, in my committee of ICT, we are going on a report writing for the PS nominee for telecommunication and broadcasting. Yeah. But without really commenting on a process that is still before the House, because then I would be kind of preempting what is ongoing.
Right.
I think the vetting for the 2 nominees yesterday is not any different from other vettings that have actually happened.
Yeah.
And for now, I really don't want to comment on...
You don't want to comment?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm not allowed to.
Okay, all right. But of course, Mheshimiwa Ruto, you can apply your mind based on what you've seen since 2013 up until now, knowing too well that eventually some of the cabinet nominees or cabinet appointees have ended up being termed to be incompetent. Are we able to determine the suitability, the competency of a CS at the vetting process that you have caught in the exercise like what you saw yesterday?
What is clear as far as such level of appointment is concerned, clarity is about Chapter 6. Any political appointment, because I regard this one as a political appointment, appointed by the president to run the political agenda in the executive, more so it's all about capability to discharge the duties in line with the Constitution. But always during vetting, a lot of issues arises. It's not only on Ruko alone, it's not only on Mrs. Cheptumo alone. Yep. Every other time vetting process has taken place. You need a question of like more of an interview. I mean, panelists are raising questions, and you don't expect any question outcome. It's unlike exams where you prepare. So I'd rather say all of us, we have no same capability. Somebody who is very swift to respond even to an issue that he or she is not very clear, but there's a way of putting it, and it sounds well. And there's somebody who lacks words on how to express it, but rather, given an opportunity, I tell you, like for my case, even I had challenge. I had never been into public service when I was vetted for County Executive Committee, and I was rated the last among all of them. But finally, if you look at the performance, it was totally different. So since that time, I always like saying, as long as, first of all, somebody meets Chapter 6 and the requirements, the basic requirements under Article 27, Article 43 of a Kenyan entitled to such opportunities, we give an opportunity to this person to serve. I've also seen people who are technically fit, but when it comes to performance, they are poor. People will be conflicted, even in service delivery. So to me, I'd rather say it should not be the hand to judge based on how someone is expressing himself, other than Chapter 6, which is very critical.
Chapter 6.
Yes.
Okay, for you, Mheshimiwa Maina, what did you make of that process? Are we seeing the value of introducing this level of parliamentary approval if you're to relate it to the performance that you've seen from some of these nominees or appointees?
I'm glad that Mheshimiwa Ruto and I agree that these are political appointments. It goes without saying that Parliament, as it is right now, or rather the 13th Parliament, has no independence of its own. And, you know, this is a skewed process from the very start. And for me, the vetting and all that, you know, is a wastage of public resources, because as far as it concerns me and from my point of information, this is a puppeteered process. The vetting will happen, the names will be brought to Parliament. I mean, we do know the end result. So, quote unquote,
what is the end result? I don't know. Rejection?
You will see the end result. We do know that Mheshimiwa Ruku is a member of Parliament for Mere. And we do know that CS, the former CS, Justin Muturi, comes from the same constituency. And unfortunately, for the gender nominee too, it is a similar political appointment. So for me, I do not think that the Kenyan people will get value for taxpayers' money in regard to the appointments that we have seen, because at the end of the day, we must really ask ourselves, are they able to execute their mandate, or is it merely because of political convenience that perhaps maybe the president feels he wants to maintain influence in a certain region, a certain constituency? Are they merely made on the basis of that? Are there other deserving Kenyans that perhaps would have performed better than the two candidates that we have? And we have listened to the interviews. We saw what was trending on X yesterday, and I really do not want to comment on that, because at the end of the day, like we've said, Parliament will we'll decide on the issue, and we will see the result there.
Okay, you sound like you already know what the outcome will be. So the Act on Public Appointments and Approval Hearings talks about issues for consideration. So that when Parliament is vetting, whether it's at the committee level or the all our committees, whether it's for the cabinet secretaries or principal secretaries, they must look at the procedure used to arrive at the nominee, any constitutional or statutory requirements relating to the office in question, and the suitability of the nominee for the appointment proposed, having regard to whether the nominee's abilities, experience, and qualities meet the needs of the body to which nomination is being made. Senator Onyonka, your thoughts about especially the vetting exercise we've seen yesterday and the past few days?
I am just going to repeat what she said. The intent is well meant, but the execution of this exercise, normally, if you look at it, whether you're going to look at Chapter 6 was diluted. The standard that was supposed to be used in terms of the individuals being vetted was diluted. And as a result, what you have now, as again, my brother has admitted, the purpose of this exercise, purely because, Sami, we picked the constitution from the US model, where it is Congress and the Senate. And they have split out what the Senate can vet and what the Congress can vet. And as a reality of our country, the names are given by Public Service Commission, which normally you will find would do a good job. But again, they are not independent enough not to be told that we want you to give us certain names. Those names will be delivered. They'll go through the floor of the House. They'll go through the vetting, which you see. You look at the quality and the standard of the individuals being vetted, and you realize that some of them may not even know what they're being vetted for. So it meant well. When it was set up in the Constitution, the purpose of the vetting is to be open, to allow the public to see even the comments that somebody would give if he's being vetted for a certain particular job. But again, our standing orders do not say whether certain technical personnel, like my leader, Nyamita, is an ICT expert. Rarely, Mheshimiwa Nyamita, will you find that somebody who's coming to be vetted for a job, even the ICT minister, would even have people who have studied ICT asking me questions. So you find the members of parliament will ask deliberate questions which are for the political purpose that this individual has been. You know, they'll ask him, how are you, all right? How much money do you have? And you know, somebody says, I'm worth 4 billion, and nobody asks him, how did you get it? Well, in a period of 10 years you've been in public life, have you had a company? No. I mean, this whole thing is just, for me, it was intended to do a good job of making sure we pick people of integrity, credibility, capacity, and capability, who are then going to run certain sectors, whether it is...
So you're saying that question about your net worth is not helpful?
No, the question is helpful, but it's never answered, and nobody interrogates it.
No, they do answer. Like Mheshimiwa Ruku responded, saying that he's worth about 377 million shillings, and even gave a breakdown of what that is comprised.
That is Ruku. But previously, you've seen some individuals say, I'm worth, say, 6 billion. Did you hear anybody ask him, in a period of 15 years you've been in government, did you have a company where you made the 6 billion? No. I mean, the whole thing is a whitewash. It's deliberately designed to allow us, who are in the political class, to be sorted out in jobs, in government jobs, and then we continue with the same behaviors we've had previously. Whether if we were stealing money from public offers, we continue with it. If we were behaving badly, there have been cases, people who have been vetted, and you find they had court cases. Nobody had those records. I mean, we are not thorough.
I hear you.
Yes.
I just wanted to say that as far as the vetting process is concerned, there's a difference between vetting and interviewing. And I think sometimes the public expectation is that is an interview process, which is not, because one, the composition of then the people who would be interviewees is not those of competence or those with competence to do the interview. So really a vetting exercise, the Public Service Commission needs to do the interviewing and do the background check and suitability in terms of technical capacity. That should be done by public service, because that's where you have the experts who are able to do that. So when they come to Parliament on the floor, during the committee and even on the plenary, it is actually just checking against Chapter 6, like my sister here spoke to, and also to just see whether that, you remember also there's a window where the public is asked to send in memoranda on a couple of issues, which they're never able to send to the Public Service Commission. So then that actually comes and you can be able to, you know, ask the...
Although that is true for principal secretaries and other offices that are actively recruited. For cabinet nominees, not so.
Not so, but ideally, if the executive, for example, if the president wants to actually apply and he asks for a CV, he needs to run it by PSC. It's not provided for by law. But I mean, if you want to apply, get someone, because also ministers, you know, they're just really policy guys. But it needs to go through a process, because on the floor of the House or in the committee, there is no competence to actually interview. To determine the technical capability of someone. And the question like...
It's about the net worth and what Parliament does with that information. Where does that lie?
One, even in the committee and on the floor of the House, the members of the committee and on the bigger floor, you have no way of verifying. If someone came and said, I have land worth 2 billion, I have cars worth 100 million, I have this, it will be just on paper.
Yeah.
But then normally what happens is that once that is filed, Parliament as an institution should send that then to the relevant authorities to actually confirm. Because if you say your land is 2 billion,
yeah,
and you don't attach a valuation report,
yeah,
it is actually, so sometimes you find other people might bump up their net worth to allow for them to build up. Or some may understate what exactly then they have. So really, I think the capacity of the committees to determine the real net worth of the individual is based on the word of the individual.
Okay, I'm asking that because not long ago, just after the president reconstituted his cabinet, there's one nominee whom I'm not going to name, but you know who it is. Their net worth had grown by 150 million shillings in just about 2 years, and there was never a lot of questions as to how exactly that happened, but it was noted in the public sector and in the public. The Daily Nation on the front page talks